remember me. Don't remember me with sadness. Don't remember me with tears. Remember all the laughter that we've shared throughout the years. Now I am contented that my life, it was worthwhile, knowing that I passed along the way and made somebody smile. When you are walking down the street and you've got me on your mind, know that I'm walking in your footsteps and only a half a step behind. So please don't be unhappy just because I'm out of sight. Remember that I'm with you each morning, noon, and night. Wild West Stacker, your community stands with you. All right. Let's continue this premiere train. We had Will's Treasure starting out. We just left the Silver Bull30. What's up, Bully? Now you're here with me, Frostbyte. After we're done here, we're going to continue this premiere train. We're going to head on through Mad Stackers, the man with the plan. From there, we're going to slide on over to GSF, hang out with the Gold Sniping Farmer, visit a little bit of Pistol Packing Pilot. From there, we're going to jaunt on over and say how do you do to our brother Ringmaster Ray. And then what would it be without wrapping up the premiere train with the one, the only, the fabulous Is Going Crew. As we continue our journey on the premiere train, we're going to make a pit stop. And this pit stop is going to lead us to the town of Boston. Now, you're going to wonder why Boston, with the Boston, with the khakis and stuff like that. You can't tell if they're saying khakis or khakis. So let's talk a little bit about what's in Boston. Obviously, you got this gorgeous skyline. And along with the gorgeous skyline, you're going to have some things like the old architecture, the embellishments that are there. You're going to see some of these old cobblestone walkways. Of course, you're going to have some college rivalry. You're going to be looking at Boston College. And of course, what would Boston be without the Celtics? You also got a little bit of baseball action there with the love between the Yankees and the Red Sox. And then I'd like to wrap it up with one of the biggest events that happened in Boston, or the Boston Marathon. All right. But why am I talking about Boston? Now, the reason I'm talking about Boston, well, a lot of people don't understand that Boston was actually the first mint in the United States. Now, granted, it wasn't like the Philadelphia Mint, and there wasn't the U.S. law talking about the Coin Act. However, the first coins that were struck in North American colonies were either silver shillings, 6 pence, 3 pence, and they were made by one of two silversmiths, either John Hull or Robert Sanderson. Now, they lived in Boston and minted from 1652 to 1682, and they did this by a general order of the Massachusetts Bay Colony. But they did this under some contentious relationship with the British authorities in London. Now, there weren't a whole lot of exceptions when it came to circulating coins in the colony until after the Revolution. But during that time, most of these things were held in private issue, or they came from things like old worn copper pennies or pences that were no longer acceptable in England or Ireland. Now, copper during this time frame was probably the most semi-precious metal, and it was the biggest thing found in abundance. Now, even though it didn't happen very often, 24 copper halfpence contained a shilling's worth of copper. Now, that may not sound like a lot, but during this time frame, that was enough to buy basically a case of wine. So it had some purchasing power. So these things were really important. Now, during this time frame, they tried to experiment with paper money, but the problem is that it wasn't reliable. It was too easy to counterfeit. They just didn't last, and they found themselves kind of this need to make sure that they had some sort of metallic currency, not only for durability, but just because it was something that people were comfortable with and something that they could access readily, right? Because as you could get these coins from other countries, You could restamp them, you could remint them with your own information, and then basically turn them into your individual money, your little colony's money. Now, during this time frame, wood, and this was between 22 and 24, intended for Ireland to receive these, but Ireland actually rejected these because of some pretty scandalous circumstances that were surrounding the purchase of a royal patent. Now, go into starting to look at freedom, independence. The Continental Congress and delegates from that decided that they would use pewter dollars in the same year. Now they would have this dollar coin, and on the front of it would have the word fuego, and fuego means I flee, meaning to separate or run away from British rule, British law, the monarchy. And the other motto on there was mind your business. Now, when you turn that over, you would see three circular links, and each one of those stood for the United Colonies. And inside it would give Massachusetts, Virginia, New York, and so on. So why did I just go through all of this coinage history leading up to actual US American coinage? Well, it's because on September 11th, something went up in auction. Now, the American Heritage Auction is one of the largest fine art collectible auctions within the United States. And anybody who knows Heritage Auction knows that it is a good, solid, reliable source. Well, on the 11th of September, a private collection that was found in a garage in Boston sparked what would be like a shark feeding frenzy of competitive bidding for an assortment of fresh market coins. Now, when we talk about fresh market coins, we're talking about coins that, even though they were in a private collector's hands, hadn't seen the light of day. What does that actually mean? It means that we're talking about coins and mint sets and rolls that were in original wrapped containers that had never seen the light of day. Now, this is pretty cool. There were a lot of neat items that were happening in this collection. And as they started to pull these out, and as these items started to show up in auction, the frenzy just grew and it just became insane. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start popping some items on the screen, and I'm going to start talking to you about some of the things that were found. So the first thing we got here is a collection of boxes that were postmarked as early as 1942. So think about the coinage that happened in 1942. Think about the things that were going on during this time frame. Right? You got a whole lot of really cool historical things happening in 1942. But during this time frame, they were minting specific coins. Now, we're talking about coins that were collected between the 40s, 50s, 60s, and maybe even into the 70s. But these first three images that you see on the screen were different sets, boxes of proof sets. Now, there's three different ones here, and there's three different items that I'm going to be talking about, specifically in the realm of proof sets. Now, there were some other coins. We'll talk about those briefly here in a little bit. You'll see that there's a 54 and a 55, and we'll get to those here in a second. But I want to talk about the first set that was done, and this is a box of 1951 proofs. Now, when I talk about a box, I'm not talking about an envelope full of one set of proof coins. I'm talking about 25 unopened, unadulterated boxes of 1951 proof sets. Gorgeous. Well, that proof set, that lot, when it got up on the auction block, went haywire and soared up to $60,000. Unreal. Now, the picture that you're seeing here, you can't see it very well in the image, but it's got the stamp insured. It's got the date 1951 proofs on it. You got the stamps from that time frame. If you're a stamp collector, you'd really like to see this. You can see the mint marks, the postmarks of when that actually went out. I'm not sure what the 311 stands for. It may be a cycle number. It may be an area where it came shipped from, but it does list the gentleman Henry E. Friedman from Boston, Mass. And it does show that information there. Just a killer piece of history. The packaging alone definitely would have sparked some interest in this. But again, 25 box, 25 packages in an unopened mint set box. Just crazy. Now, the next one that's going to be here is cool because this was a 1952 set, but the 1952 set didn't have 25, didn't have 30, didn't even have 40. It had 50 unopened mint sealed boxes. And this particular lot brought in an astounding $28,800. Now, there was another box. It wasn't as nice, and I'm sure a couple of them were probably opened, but it was another set of 25 from 1951, and it set a bid of $27,600. Now, there was a box of 100 in 1955. There were also some in 1954, and they sold 11, 12, and 16,000 respectively. Now, when we're talking about coins that are unopened, I want to point your attention to the upper right-hand corner. The upper right-hand corner is where we're presenting the coins in the 1945 Wells Fargo original bank-wrapped roll of BU half dollars. Now, we're talking about 1945. We're talking about walkers. We're talking about some amazing coins here. And this $20 unopened Wells Fargo roll sold for an amazing $12,000. Right, $12,000 for a $20 roll of BU walkers. Crazy. But the coin that I really want to show you is the 1909 half eagle. Now, this coin is absolutely amazing. I'm going to take all the things off the screen, and I'm just going to put up this 1909 Indian head. This is absolutely a phenomenal gold piece. If you look at the detail in the feathers, you look at the headdress, you look at the detail down in the beading of the shirt, you look at the details, even through the lettering within the artist's initials. This coin is immaculate. And this coin graded out at MS66. Well, a 1909 half eagle in MS66, this coin by itself, the single largest coin in this particular auction, sold for $26,400. The prices in this set were amazing, but not to be outdone by the quantity of unopened coins from the mint. Now, we're talking about coins that had never seen the light of day, and that is utterly astounding. When all the lots were put together, all the proof sets were done, and everything set up, $60,000, $20,000, $50,000, $30,000, $50,000, $10,000, $20,000. All of these add up to a $13,000 short of $1 million. So why did we talk a little bit about history of Boston? Because Boston set history to have one of the top garage sales in all of Boston history. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Frostbyte. We're going to go ahead and head on back down that premiere train. I hope you've enjoyed my time here. Let's head on over to Mad Stackers. Link is in the description. Link is in the chat. Get over there, have some fun, throw your hands up in the air. Let's do it for the boy, Mr. Mad Stacker. We'll see you later.